pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'll have a roll call.
Wayne? Here. John?
John?
Bill?
Yep.
Bruce? Here. We have one absentee because we have an empty chair.
Okay. Let's look at the agenda for today. Any additions or corrections?
I don't, no.
Okay. Will stand approved. The minutes for September 10th.
Yes, there was.
Corrections or additions?
I move to accept minutes.
Have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next item is the election of officers.
Yes, yearly, in the ordinance, it calls for that we need to elect officers at the first meeting of every year, and you are to elect a chair, a deputy chair, and a secretary. So the odds are pretty good that of the four of you, somebody gets an office, so.
I'll be very open to giving up the secretary chair.
So it's between the four of you. We need to
Just
fill those
want
four
everybody
positions.
to know.
Okay,
Whichever way you
well,
want.
let's start with the chair. Who would like to, anybody would like to be the chair?
I move to have John chair the committee again for this year, 2021.
Okay,
I would second that.
thank you.
I guess I'll call for the vote because that's probably more appropriate. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against?
Okay,
John? Okay, now you can take, John, you can take the next two.
okay, the one for vice chair. Who would like to be vice chair?
It's going to end up being me or Bruce, so maybe flip a coin.
Who gets the motion first?
I would move that Bruce be the second in command.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Secretary. Now it's time to wait in Janice.
Well, I could nominate Wayne.
I make a motion to have Janice as our secretary for the 2021 board year. I'm getting good at making the motion, so
You gotta figure it out. Wade.
that keeps me out of it.
People like you. Okay, all in favor?
Did you
Aye.
get a second on that?
Second?
You should have a second motion on that. I don't know if,
I second it.
oh, you did, John? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to keep notes too. Okay.
Favor?
Aye.
There.
Slate of officers.
Thank you, the three of you.
Okay, moving on to number 6, dealing with grants.
Do you have anything, John? I didn't know. I just keep it as a
Got
stat.
a proposal idea in front of you to look at.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking for some ideas.
Well, you want to talk about it here? We could.
Well, we can get up to $20,000 for anything dealing with park development or something with the outdoors, not so much a physical thing. Is there any idea that you'd like me to pursue? This is a national agency. And I don't remember the name, I'm sorry, but
Lorraine's over there.
well, I know it's
She's
for,
drooling over there.
we've got a grant outstanding for her greenhouse I haven't heard on. So, I mean, rather not do another.
What is the timing on this, John?
I need to, by the end of April, I need to submit a grant for this round that I'm talking about right now. So if you can let me know in the next 2 or 3 days or something.
Well, I was gonna do it under other business, but city council has kind of authorized the mayor to look at purchasing some land on 15th Avenue. There's 2 open lots next to the movie theater property. We want to extend Glacial Lakes Trail through there. But we're gonna have to retain right-of-way. So we're gonna have to purchase right-of-way from, there's 4 lots over there, 3 different owners. And the price seems like it could be in the wheelhouse. The finance director said that there's enough money to make an offer on it. I'll withhold the price at this point. And so he's gonna try to make that offer, because it's almost probably the same price as just buying some right away from them, you know. One of the thoughts that we had, that we've talked a little bit about, was that area could be cleaned up and maybe it's a canoe access for the River Inway Park. And I don't know, does that kind of fall in the wheelhouse, John? And I don't know how soon we'd have it and when we'd have to spend the money by, but.
Why don't you and I have a phone conversation or a follow-up?
Okay.
I don't know if many of you know, with this Glacier Lakes Trail, I tried not by the theater, but between the park and the theater parking lot, there's, 3 or 4 homes. And one of them there's a big rock formation there that blocks the trail literally. You can't get around it, and it didn't get funded. It was the idea of trying to get rid of this massive rock. Thousands of dollars to do it, so that's the only one I've really had any luck on, or tried with the Glacier Lakes. But this idea of right away, how are we gonna get past that if the trail's gonna go along with what you and I have talked about in the past?
It would still, so the plan is what you put a grant in for. We have the drawings, we know what we need, what the construction, and it would require blasting some of that, they call
Yeah.
Big Rock. For most people that know what Big Rock is, if you're familiar with that term from here, so. But we still need to resolve the right-of-way along those four lots. So I just wanted to bring it up. You brought the grant. I just wanted the park board to understand it. So me and you can work offline
Yeah.
and we'll see where that goes. Hopefully by the next meeting, I can give you an update of where we're at.
Gives me a direction to think.
Correct. Unless there's somebody else that's got another thought out there. I really don't. Lorraine?
Okay,
All kinds of things.
well, I'll follow up on that. We don't
Okay.
need this time on that.
Sounds good, Joe.
Okay, Bill, you wanna talk about the amphitheater?
Yeah. So maybe I'll just back up a hair here. As we all kind of adjusted at the beginning of the meeting, our last meeting was September 10th. So that is, well, almost 6 months, if not 7 months ago. So not a lot has happened, and that's part of the reason I haven't had a meeting. We had COVID, late last year. That was really keeping us down. So bear with me. I'll try to give you as much information as I can where we're at today. And if I do forget something, feel free to call me. And if you want to go back out there again and look at it where we're at today, I'm willing to do that also. So AMP right now is still under construction. The remaining item is basically some punch list items that could not be done in the winter, so we had to wait for thawing and warmer temperatures. We got some painting inside the stage area, so none of that stuff can be done until it warms up. We're working on fencing and gates as we speak. I hope to by the end of the month that all the fencing and gates will be up and we'll be able to take down a temporary fence around the whole property. That's the goal. If you've been out there and drive down Parkway, you can see that we do have the gates and fencing already in place at the front of it, and by the box office area, so you can see it from the road. The biggest remaining item out there is the railing. Half of it got installed late October, November, and then the second batch was supposed to have been done by now. Now they're saying maybe the end of April. It might be, I'm gonna be quite frankly honest, I think by the time we get it all done and up, it's probably mid-May. Issues there is finding enough labor to make it for manufacturing, and then when they finally got that worked out, the painters, they're having issues with trying to get painters to get it painted. So, and then we have installation. Miscellaneous concrete work out there that was cracked, we wanted to let it go through the winter, make sure, and then we'll make a decision if we're gonna do any more replacement or just live with it. So, as you know, it's an old quarry site, there's a lot of fill, there's a lot of blasting, there's shifting. I think we're gonna be okay and we'll just leave it because it's probably more damaging to go in and rip out concrete in certain areas and just live with the small cracks, so. So that's on the construction side. We cannot get a CO. That's what they call is a certificate of occupancy. That's the final legal document for us to take it over. We have a temporary CO, so that allows us onto the property and we can do things with it. But as for having public out there and any of that, until we get the certificate of occupancy, or they call CO, that can't happen, and the railing needs to be installed before then. So, as far as, I'll come back to it. So if you're wondering and you've heard the governor's orders, you know, that there's limitations, and he opened it up on April 1st, where you have the ability to do some more things, more than 250 people. That comes with some caveats, and if you have to read deep into the language of the governor's rules, is it's a little confusing. So what they did is the Department of Economic Deed, they put together a calculator, online calculator, that figured it out for you. So what you do is you take your event, and then you say, is it seated event or is it a standing event? So it's either or. So there's your flow chart, seated or standing. And then you put in the square footage of where these people would be at. And then it automatically spits out how many people you can have seated or standing, taking into account the 50% capacity plus 25 plus social distancing. So it ended up being, our calculator for us is for a seated event of 4,200 seats, we are only allowed to have a little over 1,200 people there for an event if it's seated. If it's standing, it's 300 people. No, not at this point. So that's where the rules are today. We had somebody looking at to do a test run, a band at the first part of June, and that's getting pushed back into July or August, depending on what the governor's orders and what happens. We're not the only outdoor venue that's worried about this, or, you know, it's hurting. So at this point, if you went to a seated event under those rules and somebody wanted to come in and said that they could try to maybe make a profit off of it with 1,200 people, what happens is Ticketmaster has to, who is our seating designer, has to come in and design a whole new seating chart. And they put them together what they call pods. And they're 2-chair pods, 4-chair, 6-chair, 8-chair pods, but they all have to be separated by 6 feet. They have to be forward-facing. So we haven't went down that road yet because, quite frankly, we don't believe that we can do anything with it, so why waste Ticketmaster's time with that at this moment? So, but that could change. Great River Theater is looking to do something in middle of July. They are booked to do a play out there. We'll have to see where the numbers fly. Maybe that amount of seating might work for them if it's still there. Well, again, every day is something different. We just wait and see if there's changes from the governor. Meredith, the facility event coordinator, she's in line and has information and Zoom meetings with the Department of Deed, Steve Grove, you probably heard his name, over these last months. So they do weekly meetings with the venue operators. So if there's something new coming up or if the governor's gonna change something, that it gets spit out a little bit before that. Monday, they were just taking comments again, and the guy from Canterbury says, I can't do anything out here. You know, because, yeah, we have reserved seating in some, but the typical horse track is people are just walking around all the time. So that knocks him down to something. The venues that are gonna make out well at this point are gonna be your arenas, the 2 in the cities, XL and Target Field. And they can go up to 10,000, depending on what. So Target Field can go to 10,000 because you have all reserved seating. They have 45,000 seat capacity, so you start doing the math and it works out. So you could see some maybe larger concerts that maybe some people want to do, that you might see that happen at a Target Field. I think Center is 3,000, I think the Wild had last night or the night before, because they're a little bit smaller. So it's all very dependent. Our promoter operator is got some holds, but everything is in a wait and see mode at this point. Some of the bands don't want to put out the money for production cost right now in case that they can't go next year. So last year they got stung with upwards of $750 to $1 million in production cost, and they can't recoup it because they can't go on tour. So some of them are actually just saying, we're done for the year. And then there's some bands that want to get out there. So again, I can't tell you today, and I might not know by April 15th or May 15th or June 15th, but the number does change. We're looking at trying to do some more local events, smaller things if we can. That's still on the table. We want to do a thank you open house type of an event. So maybe we can do that by having people register, and you can only bring 250 people in at a time and do some things that way. Still to be determined, but we're starting to work that way. If nothing else, maybe the thought is to do an Oktoberfest. Since we're not doing a Family Fun Fest this year, maybe we can talk to the Family Fun Fest and maybe the numbers grow enough and we could do something late September, October, and do more out there and do something like that. So staff and myself we're working on trying to think of different ideas to be able to utilize the facility. So that's kind of where it stands at this moment. I am thankful that we didn't have to open this last year at this time, because we're still working on the inside. To furnish and outfit the building, and I was gone for vacation, but they were working on the heating and heating electrical systems and doing the testing on that. That's still ongoing yet. So there's all these little bugs that you have to work out of the whole site. So we're furnishing rooms, we're ordering tables, we're trying to get everything put together. So it's we're working on it daily down there, and like I said, if everything goes well, maybe by June 1st we could maybe do some smaller events if it comes. National events are, I'm going to say, iffy at this point. So we'll have to wait and see. So that's really kind of where we're at this moment. I guess if you got questions, I would certainly like to entertain them and try to fill in what I didn't. Do you have something, Janice?
How about the park area and the trails? Have you done anything further on the trails?
Not since fall, no. We did get the, so you bring that up, we did hire a sandblaster, and he was out there at the, it was first week in March, and he sandblasted all the rock, the graffiti off in the quarry, less than a day. I think he was out there 7 hours and had it all done and gone. So it looks beautiful. It looks really nice. So we did do that, if you want to call any site work, but.
Bill, it seems I've heard numbers like for the promoter to break even 2,500 seating, and we're not anywhere near that.
No, the promoter did say that he needs at least 2,500 on certain bands. The big ones, no, he needs a full house, so. And you have to understand that, it's like any of us selling a service. At some point, it's not worth it, and so that's where they're at. Yeah, we didn't know that it was gonna take two of our summer years out, but it is what it is. I will tell you this, we're better off by not shoving it last year and pushing it, because we really wouldn't have been ready. Or we would have been ready with a little bit of a subpar site, and our staff would have been absolutely working 24 hours a day trying to get ready for that. So we're doing it right. We're taking the time to do it that way, and we're gonna have a better product in the end, guaranteed.
Okay, let's move on to the good landscape coordinator. Oh, with spring here, you must have a lot in your planning.
Well, happy to see you all. Well, we have quite a few things happening, sort of revving back up. It's spring. Gardeners start feeling the urge, and have actually volunteers out cleaning up at the library and over at Riverside Park at the flagpole garden already, just cleaning up the beds, making sure they're going to look nice. We've had a plant bed design contest for down on the Healthy Living Trail, and we have a winner, a young man from California.
Oh, my goodness.
And let's see, we had really great submissions. I mean, it was really hard to decide, but because any one of them could have been a winner, so that's fantastic.
How many did you have?
We had 8, so that's pretty nice.
We were amazed.
Amazing, who knew that there was that many people interested in designing a flower bed for a little city? So anyway, Randy, who's made the bird boxes, is just finishing up on a new little library box for out at the splash pad. I dropped off some shingles for him last night, and he's going to put that up. I have another volunteer, Gary, who's been working on making columns for at the library. We're going to have the old baskets that used to be the hanging baskets on columns to the right of the door. And that project is almost ready to be installed. Let's see. We have a donation from the townhomes, and I'm sorry, I cannot remember the name of them, that Karen Justin is the association president. And down there at, just down the road here on 13th Avenue. the
Oh,
townhomes.
Moosehorn. Yep.
So I put the order in for the ginkgo tree.
Okay.
So she'll be buying that. And then talk to Dale, the city foreman?
Supervisor.
City supervisor, sorry. And so he knows about that, and when that comes in, you make arrangements to have it planted down there. And let's see, we're going to be coming back with our meetings every last Thursday of the month, starting this month, 29th, They're gonna be down at the large pavilion out here at, this is Community Park. And about 4:30 PM. And we'll be able to social distance still and have lots of air. And talk gardening, and I get some more ideas. And of course, we're always looking for groups to come and do group events. You know, this is just perfect for them. You know, if you want to do something in, you know, the time of COVID, you can spread out along the trail and get plenty of fresh air and, you know, make the place a better place, you know, picking up things. And so the debris that blows in after the winters, it needs to be gotten up, so as soon as possible. We do have one group that just called me, and that's St. Cloud Pride, and they're Prudy from over there is, she's not sure she can get enough people for this month, but she's definitely thinking next month, so. Anyway, gardening goes on, projects are starting, and that's about, you know, the usual.
And we're planning the usual garden sale in June
You
Okay.
are, at the pavilion then again, or are you?
in the little pavilion.
We'll do
here.
that in the little pavilion too,
Okay.
sure.
Just make sure you get to
So any
Margie.
plant donations are great, so that we can, you know, so,
That'll be the second Tuesday in June. Or Thursday, I'm sorry, second Thursday in June,
is it? Okay.
in the little pavilion that's close here.
Just make sure that you touch base with Margie Wolf so that she can get that on Facebook and
Yes.
announce it that way. Oh, that's wonderful. Just to back up a couple things with Lorraine. I can't remember her first name. Justin, what was her first name? The ginkgo tree?
Karen?
Karen, yeah. She came to us last year, came to me and wanted to donate a tree to plant on the north side of the parking lot between the parking lot of Community Park and their Moosehorn development. And so we gladly accepted that and worked out where we can plant it. We got water and sewer lines through there, so it's a little bit, there's only certain spots that we can plant that tree.
The
And so-
markers and the flags from that you put in last year, or had someone put in last year, are still there.
Yeah,
So,
so-
that's good.
So that was very nice of a resident to give us a tree to plant, so. The one question, just kind of going back from last year, and I don't know if it was in the minutes here or not. Last year, you had said that your volunteer group numbers were starting to drop a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about that, Lorraine, where we're at? What do you think this next year is? I mean,
Well, we're looking for more people, as, you know. We have several members who, you know, have just gotten to an age where they really can't be, you know, doing as much as they used to be able to do. And, but we have a couple new volunteers already, and I'm calling people and getting, you know, drumming up some more support. I think that our numbers will eventually reach the usual numbers that we have, which, you know, is not a huge amount, 20, 25 people. But I'm confident that there are people out there that want to garden. And I just think that the dynamics of this COVID situation, you know, people want to do something, and I think this is perfect. They get out in the fresh air, you know, and do something, you know, creative, you know, get you grounded to the soil. It's a good outlet. So,
that would be another one to work with Margie on trying to do some social media blasts, and
yeah.
if you maybe even throw out some gardening tips, and then they see, you know, I'm just throwing things at so
Sure.
that might be something that would help.
We could have a Ask Janice gardening tip section.
Whatever works. The other thing that, that's happened within the Flowers for Wade Park group and it's affected Lorraine, is in November, I believe, the city signed a lease with Centricare. You probably all know that, that Centricare has taken over 602. 602 being the old Public Works, that's how we refer to it. And, it's still ongoing, it was a year lease. They're still testing out of there. Not sure how much longer they're gonna do it. They have thought that they might dabble into the vaccine. At this moment, we know no more, or know nothing that they're gonna give up the building before November. That could change tomorrow, we don't know. So that's put a little bit of a hindrance on Lorraine and her group because of the security and what's going on in there. And I know that Dale's worked with you and you've been over there a little bit, and we're trying to make the best possible area for Lorraine and her people. And we may have to get a little creative here, depending on what happens, so.
We're a lot creative.
Yeah, it's, you really, I mean, it's COVID. What else are you gonna say? You have to be out of the box thinking and be willing to change. So I do apologize to you and your group for that, but it was a good public service too.
Oh, yeah,
So it's.
saves lives, so we're willing to step
Yeah.
aside. Gosh.
So I do appreciate your willingness to work around that, so. Anything else, Lorraine, that you have that?
Not at the moment. Of course, I'll probably think of something as soon as I walk out the door, but, you know.
Well, thank you.
one thing I should-
Let's move on to park updates. Anybody have any questions or concerns they'd like to bring up?
But let's see, we're gonna look at doing a couple things, and I failed to be able to get pictures and get them to you folks, about Lions Park. I wanna do something this year with the playground area down there. The edging's pretty much gone, so we're gonna probably do some small project out there to try to clean that playground area up. And at this point, we only have one basketball hoop over there. The other side is wide open. I think at this point for this year, we're just kind of let it be like that. We'll clean it up the best we can, you know, but in the past, we have put out a porta potty over there, but that's when we had a lot of activity with the basketball courts. But, so I made that decision that it's not worth putting up a porta potty over there for one basketball at this moment. If citizens call in and they demand that, then maybe can make that decision. The only other park that I know that anything is going on with is River's Edge. We are, at this moment, last winter, the council authorized us to take all the splash pad play structures down, the water features down. They were very calcified up. The only way to get that off is to basically sandblast them and repaint them. And so that was done. I did not want them put up, but when I was on vacation, the word never got to my staff never got to their people, the contractors, and so they did install them. Splash pad is probably a 99% chance that it's not gonna open this year because of the pool regulations. It's a pool. And be able to do a pool, you have to be able to fence it and monitor how many people are on the pad at one time. We can't find enough people just to do watering and grass mowing, let alone try to find somebody to sit down there 9 hours a day, 7 days a week, and, you know, pay them to count and make sure that we don't have enough people. So, again, COVID restrictions could change and things could change. It is what it is. Council is aware of it. What we have done also, since we had the chance to refurbish the features on the outside, we are working on the inside. It's 10 years old. We're doing some maintenance on the operations skid, if you want to call it. the treatment train. Not much, but what we did do is, since we have pickleball courts with their nice bathrooms right by, we removed the men's bathroom, took out the wall and gained extra space in the building, and converted the women's bathroom to a unisex. And the reason we did that is the building was too small for operations to run in there. It's got chemicals for the pool, got chlorine and muriatic acid, both are very corrosive, and it is eating away at electrical, it's eating away at everything. We store chemicals in there, it's just not a good situation, there's no room to move around if you needed to do some work in there. So we ended up taking out the wall, and it also gave us a side entrance door to the building. Before, the only way to get in is with the garage door open and get out. And when the garage door is open, guess who comes in? Curious little tykes, and that's not a place for them to be. So this will give us the opportunity to be in the building, work on it, and not have that big door open, and having people walk in and their kids walking in. So that's a big win. We'll put a couple sight windows in the garage door so we can see out, but that's, and then we're changing out our chemical tanks. The ones that we have right now are just big vats, and they have to be filled but with jugs, either 5-gallon jugs or 20-gallon jugs, and you're transferring liquid through pumps. Okay, occasionally you get a spill, and that's part of the corrosive issue. The new tanks will be self-contained, and they will also be sealed and vented out to the atmosphere. So, and they will be bulk filled by our supplier. So we don't have to handle chemical anymore. We don't have to dress up, put glasses, fog, the deal on it. So it's gonna be a lot safer, and we're painting inside. We're gonna redo a testing bench area that was really literally no bigger than 2x2 area. It's just, it's gonna be done the right way, and it'll be much easier for us to maintain and to work out of. Pickleball courts. You all are aware that we had an unfortunate accident down there. As of yesterday, Dale said they were supposed to be here this week to start working on it, and I never talked to him this afternoon to see if he found any more information out. So we did open up the 3 north courts. There's nets on it, but the south courts are closed off until that gets done. It won't be the exact same beautiful lines out there like you've seen before, because the posts that they ran over, the net posts, all that, they were embedded in concrete. So we had to cut them out. We'll have to patch them back with bituminous, and we'll have to paint back, but you are going to see slight imperfections. It won't look as beautiful, clean lines like the north one, but it's still going to be great and beautiful, but it's just going to look a little different.
So I guess I'm a little bit behind here. I was driving by looking at the nets, wondering what happened. Somebody crashed through there? Wow.
Yeah. So, I can't tell you exactly when, because we're at the mercy of the fence contractors. It's 2 different contractors, and then it's, one is the fence contractor is gonna take care of the netting posts, the intermediate fences, and the outside fences, because those will all have to be rebuilt. And then there's the painter, and both are number 1 on the list for work. So stay tuned. They'll be up and running before we meet again in June. I guarantee you that. But we're not going to put the windscreen up at this time because they may have to go back to the corner posts where the windscreen would be on the north side to be able to stretch from, and so we don't want to have to put them up and then have to take them down a little bit, or they rip them. So we're just going to leave them down, and the pickleball players will have to just bear with us for a little bit. But yeah, unfortunate accident. And it's going to be between the city and the insurance. It was not recoverable from restitution, so it's really unfortunate. but it is what it is, so we'll get it back. And then the Babe Ruth is going to be starting up again. They're meeting the COVID guidelines. What the city has done as far as any of the outdoor activities is our city attorney is well-versed in COVID regulations from the governor. And he is reviewing every application for the city. Babe Ruth is our biggest one, the most people, and we worked well last year between myself, Babe Ruth, and our city attorney, making sure that their COVID plan meets the state guidelines. We've been receiving a number of different requests for other events. One is a pregnancy walk. I know that they did an Easter egg drive-through over Easter. I was gone for it. All these events have to be vetted through us as city, then through the individuals putting the event on with the COVID plan that the city attorney signs off on. Says, yep, you meet it. The city takes it very seriously, AKA that's why we're not jumping into the events out at the amphitheater. We're gonna follow, our rule is we're following the state guidelines and whatever it is. And if you wanna hold an event in our city, you can do that, but you have to have the plan done by yourself, whoever that group is, and it has to be approved by the city attorney. That takes it off of myself or Shauna or somebody else on staff to interpret the governor's rules. So we'll get through it, but so really that's about it down there that I can think of at this point. So unless anybody's got questions.
Any other business we should bring up tonight? Well, thank you all for coming, and Bill, we appreciate all what you're doing for us. We have a motion for adjournment. Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Our next meeting is on June 2nd at 6:30. Thank you.